There are 73 different brawlers in the game, and today we're going to be going over a completely useless fact about each of them, so let's get straight into it. The first brawler is Shelly, and she is the only common brawler in the game because everybody unlocks her right away in the tutorial, and there isn't a single account that doesn't have her. Nita used to be able to spawn in an infinite amount of bears with her super before the devs realized it was way too overpowered, and they added a limit to the number of bears. Colt was rumored to be a hair model in the early days of Brawl Stars back when it had a much more western theme because he kept on looking at himself in the mirror and admiring his own hair. In July of 2020, the design on the back of Bull's jacket was changed from a circular human looking skull to the skull of a bull because you can see the horns on the sides. Brock is actually the only male marksman brawler in the game. The 7 other marksman brawlers are all females. El Primo was actually added to Clash of Clans as a playable troop to celebrate the global launch of Brawl Stars, and he was also pretty broken in the game. Barley actually used to be a super rare brawler in the early days of the game, but ended up getting demoted to a rare brawler. One of the voice lines for using Poco Super is Power Chord, but this doesn't really make sense because his normal attack is also called Power Chord. Rosa is the last rare brawler added to the game, and it's almost been 5 years since another one has been added. Jessie is the first super rare brawler, and her turret have been remodeled 2 different times, and the turret still glitches out in the animation, which makes me think that it's just intentional at this point. In the early days of Brawl Stars, you actually had to kill 3 dynamites in the tutorial instead of the robots like you have to do today. Tick was actually supposed to be a Mythic Brawler. When he first came out, he was put with the Mythic Brawlers despite him being shown as super rare, which most likely means that he was programmed to be a Mythic, but it got changed last minute and they just forgot to change that part. 8-Bit is the only brawler to actually have a number in its name. For almost 3 years, Rico was actually called Ricochet, but that name was changed to just Rico in January of 2019, where he also got a remodel. In December of 2019, Daryl's attack was changed so that it fired 5 shots instead of 4, but the damage of each shot was also reduced, and at the end, the total damage just stayed the same. The first time Penny was in an actual loading screen was in December of 2021, and she was so far back in the picture that most people just never even noticed, but it was a big deal since she had been in the game since 2018, yet this was the first time she actually got into a loading screen. Carl actually used to be classified as a sharpshooter when he first came out, but about a month later he got changed to become a fighter. Jackie is by far the most aggressive and toxic brawler in the game, which can really be shown just by all of her voice lines where she is basically just insulting opponents in every single line. Gus's default skin used to show him holding the full balloon, but it was later updated so that the balloon went longer and it would now be partly out of the frame. There used to be a glitch where you could place infinite mines with bow, and that was really broken and just fun to play around with before it got patched. Ems didn't used to have a range indicator for when you were aiming her super attack, but that was added almost an entire month after she was added into the game. You used to be able to knock the enemies back when you used to super, but that feature was removed because it was just a little too broken. Piper's main attack used to have such a long range that it wouldn't even fit on the screen, and it took them over 8 months to actually fix this. Pam was supposed to be called Mama J, and that was her name in the dev version of the game before she got released, but things changed last minute and she was just called Pam. Frank is actually supposed to represent Frankenstein, which is an extremely famous and popular fictional character, and both of them look very similar, especially with their head shape. The face of BB's bat was removed on iOS devices for some reason, most likely a glitch, but it ended up getting added back once people started to notice. Bia last got a skin on June 4th, not counting the true silver and true gold ones, and this has been the longest any brawler has gone without a skin in the history of the game. Nani is the only thrower brawler that can actually fully control her attack to change the distance that it goes. Hank and Janet have to charge it up and can't go back without changing their attack. Edgar was completely free to unlock for literally everyone for the first 2 weeks that he was out in the game, and the matches around this time were literally just full of him. Griff was first unlockable by competing and beating the Griff Challenge, which lasted only 3 days before he was added to the game, and then the way to unlock him would be by just getting him through the brawl boxes. In January of 2022, Grom got a 1% increase in the recharge rate for a super, which is just really strange how they only did 1% since it basically wouldn't really make any noticeable difference. The name of Bonnie's cannon is Clyde, and this is a reference to the infamous Bonnie and Clyde since both of them travel together and commit crimes. Instead of saying kill, Hank says krill through a couple of his voice lines, which is just really interesting. Mortis used to have a top hat in the early days of Brawl Stars, but once the game global launched, his hat was removed from the default skin, and that caused people to be mad, so Brawl Stars ended up adding the top hat Mortis skin to make up for it. The first season of the Brawl Pass was called Tara's Bazaar, which is obviously based off of Tara the Brawler, and it is the only season that directly mentions a brawler. When Gene first came out, using a super would cause the entire game to crash for you and everyone nearby and caused him to be removed before the glitch got patched. Max is supposed to be a spin-off of Lightning McQueen. Both of them share the same red and yellow colors, and Max's mastery title of I Am Speed is a reference to McQueen's saying of I Am Lightning. Mr. P's 10k and star power was renamed in August of 2020 and changed to revolving door because it was changed so that the porters would spawn 3 seconds faster. If you set the game language to French, then Sprout's name gets turned into Wally, which is a reference to Wall-E since both of them also look pretty similar. There used to be a glitch where the Wizard Byron skin's animations would glitch out when you use jump pads, but that was fixed about a month after the skin came out. Squeak is another brawler who has had their class changed. Squeak used to be a fighter but then got changed to damage dealer 5 months after it came out. The only colorful parts of Gray are his eyes, which are light yellow, and the buttons on his pants, which is a golden color. Willow is a fairly recent brawler and she had a glitch similar to Jean which caused the game to just completely crash when you used her super. Doug might actually be a cannibal since he is a hot dog himself and eats and sells other hot dogs as well. Chuck used to just spawn in with the super already fully charged, but that changed on the 24th of October when the devs removed that, which I assume was a glitch in the first place. There's an obstacle called Spike E Cactus inside of Clash of Clans, which obviously looks a lot like Spike the Brawler, and once you destroyed it, you only got 10 gold, which was a pretty big troll by the devs. After being in the game for over 5 years, Crow's class ended up getting changed from Toxic Assassin to just Assassin, which was a bit strange in my opinion because he was like that for 5 years. Leon was the first new legendary brawler to get added into the game right after global launch, and he was incredibly broken due to his invisibility, where no one could see him and he could just 1 or 2 shot pretty much anybody. Sandy is just, well, extremely tired all the time, and pretty much every voice line references this, with a lot of them just being lazy 1 or 2 word phrases. And one of Amber's voice lines for when she is receiving damage, she says, "This is fine," which is a reference to the extremely popular I Am Fine meme with the dog. There used to be a bug where destroying Meg's mecha will crash your entire game. Character is one of the most unique brawlers in the game since he doesn't have any specific super. Instead, you just get random supers as his super, which makes him unpredictable and extremely unique compared to the rest of the brawlers. And that's it for all the normal brawlers in the game. Now let's move on to the Chromatic Brawlers, which there are quite a few of. There used to be a glitch where Gale's Twister would end up knocking you and your teammates back instead of the enemies, which just worked against you and was quite a surprise if you never knew about it before. Surge is a Chromatic Brawler, but it was announced recently that he is actually going to be promoted to a legendary next year. Some people agree with this while others don't, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Colette's eye that is hidden under her hair can be seen for a single frame during her animation, but you can only see about a third of it. There used to be a thing where if you had more than one Lou on your team, they would all share the same freezing bar. Ruffs actually used to be called a clone of Ruffs when he first came out, but his name was changed over a year later. Belle is rumored to be Colt's mom because Colt is the sheriff and Belle is part of a gang. She has voice lines saying,
"Glad you ain't my kid."
and this is most likely referring to Colt because she disapproves of him being the sheriff. Buzz has only received one buff, which was an increase to his health, and has received no nerfs, meaning he has only received one balance change, which is the lowest of any brawler and surprising considering he was added over 2 years ago. Ash is the least used brawler in the game with only a 0.47% use rate, which is kind of funny considering his mastery title is called Trash Tier. Lola has what is probably considered the strangest voice in the game.
"Say hello to my little friend."
When you kick with the default Fang skin, your screen shakes like normal, but when you do it with the Octo Fang skin, your screen doesn't shake at all. Eve is a little interesting because her flavor text says that she loves her children, but she also uses them to attack with and basically sends them to die, which is really strange. Janet and Bonnie are actually sisters, and this has been confirmed through how similar they look and also through the Brawl Talk. Otis has the same description for all of his voice lines, but if you listen to them, they're all different and just different versions of him seemingly underwater or something. Sam was turned into a ghost by Gus. You can see this when the special offer popped up for Gus and Sam in the background was just turned into an outline. Buster got 10 nerfs in a row over the span of just 2 months, which is definitely the most of any brawler, and he didn't even receive a buff until 5 months later. The default skin for Manny doesn't have an angry face on the bazooka, but the other skins have it, not including the true gold and silver skins. The Morse code voice line for RT translates to 4XZ, which sounds a lot like forks, but I'm not really too sure what that exactly means. If you use Macy's gadget, you could deal absolutely insane amounts of damage to players, going well into the tens of thousands. Cordelius got a massive nerf in the Shadow Realm, where he couldn't even use his super and his gadgets were nerfed. Pearl is portrayed as a baker that mainly just makes a chocolate chip cookies and has a lot of voice lines that reference baked goods, but her mastery title is Let Me Cook, which is a reference to the Let Him Cook meme and was added on the 24th of October, replacing her previous title of Just Do It. And finally we have Charlie, which is the final brawler on this list. She is also the newest brawler in the game, being added just about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and she was banned from every match on the first day of the World Finals. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to click on this video if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time.